On May 6, 1937, the future of air travel floated quietly above New Jersey. 34 seconds later, it was gone. The Hindenburg, the largest flying machine ever built, was consumed by fire before the eyes of hundreds of stunned witnesses and a radio reporter whose emotional words would echo through history. This is the real story of the Hindenburg Disaster. In the 1930s, crossing the Atlantic didn't have to mean spending days at sea. For a select few, the future of travel floated above the clouds. The Hindenburg was more than an airship. At nearly 804 feet long, it was one of the largest flying machines ever constructed. Longer than 3 football fields and built to carry passengers across the Atlantic in comfort and luxury. Inside, passengers dined in an elegant restaurant, relaxed in a spacious lounge, and slept in private cabins. There was even a specially designed smoking room, a remarkable luxury aboard an aircraft filled with highly flammable gas. And the Hindenburg was fast. A journey that could take an ocean liner several days could be completed by the airship in roughly 2.5. For the people who stepped aboard, this wasn't simply transportation. It felt like a glimpse of the future. The Hindenburg had already crossed the Atlantic dozens of times without disaster, building a reputation for reliability and German engineering. But hidden inside that magnificent machine was a compromise that would become tragically important. The Hindenburg was designed to use helium, but Germany couldn't obtain enough of it. So the airship was filled with hydrogen, a gas that provided excellent lift, but could ignite violently under the right conditions. The passengers saw luxury. The world saw progress. But inside the enormous silver envelope was a danger almost no one expected to become fatal. On May 3rd, 1937, the Hindenburg left Frankfurt, Germany, on what was supposed to be another routine flight across the Atlantic. 97 people were aboard, passengers and crew. For the passengers, the journey began much like the many flights that had come before it. Meals were served, conversations filled the lounges, and the enormous airship continued westward over the Atlantic. But the journey would not be as smooth as expected. Strong headwinds slowed the Hindenburg's progress, pushing its arrival behind schedule. By the time the airship reached the coast of New Jersey on the evening of May 6th, the weather had become another problem. Thunderstorms surrounded the area around Lakehurst. The crew could not simply land, so the Hindenburg circled overhead, waiting for the conditions to improve. Below, ground crews prepared for its arrival. Spectators gathered to watch the world's most famous airship come home. Among them was a radio reporter named Herbert Morrison, who had come to record the landing. He expected to capture a routine arrival. Instead, he was about to record one of the most famous disasters in history. At around 7 p.m., the Hindenburg finally approached the landing field at Lakehurst. The storm had passed, but the air was still heavy with moisture. Nearly 200 feet above the ground, the enormous airship slowed to a crawl as the crew prepared to bring it down. Below, the ground crew waited with their mooring lines. For a few moments, everything appeared completely routine. Then, at approximately 7:25 p.m., something changed. Witnesses near the rear of the airship reported seeing a sudden flicker beneath the tail. A moment later, flames appeared. The hydrogen inside the airship ignited, Fire raced through the enormous structure with terrifying speed, turning the silver giant into a wall of flames. The Hindenburg began to fall. Passengers and crew were still inside. The entire disaster unfolded in roughly 34 seconds. On the ground, Herbert Morrison's microphone was still recording. His voice broke as he watched the airship collapse. Oh, the humanity! The Hindenburg had arrived at Lakehurst as a symbol of technological progress. In less than a minute, it was a burning wreck on the ground. Inside the burning airship, there was almost no time to think. Passengers and crew had seconds to escape before the enormous structure reached the ground. Some jumped from the lower decks as the Hindenburg descended, hoping the fall would be survivable. Others were thrown clear as the framework collapsed around them. And on the ground, the rescue began almost immediately. Ground crew members ran toward the burning wreckage, pulling survivors away from the flames and helping them escape. Many of the people who survived did so because they made a split-second decision to jump, or because someone on the ground was willing to run toward the fire. Of the 97 people aboard the Hindenburg, 35 lost their lives. One additional member of the ground crew was killed. 35 passengers and crew survived. Some escaped with serious injuries. Others walked away almost untouched. The Hindenburg had been destroyed in seconds, but for those who survived, the memory of those seconds would last a lifetime. Almost immediately, one question dominated the aftermath. What had caused the Hindenburg to ignite? Investigators from both Germany and the United States examined the wreckage and questioned witnesses. Several possibilities were considered. Could the airship have been sabotaged? Had an engine failure caused the fire? Or had an electrical spark ignited leaking hydrogen? No single explanation could be proven beyond doubt. One of the leading theories involved static electricity. The Hindenburg had arrived after passing through a stormy, humid atmosphere. As the airship approached the landing field, an electrical charge could have built up on its outer surface. At the same time, investigators believed that one of the hydrogen cells may have developed a leak. If hydrogen had escaped into the airship's rear section, a spark could have provided the ignition. But there was another possibility. The airship's outer covering had been damaged in places, and some researchers have suggested that a broken or loosened wire could have created a spark near leaking hydrogen. Even decades later, the exact sequence of events remains debated. But one thing is clear. The Hindenburg's enormous supply of hydrogen transformed a single ignition source into a rapidly spreading fire. The mystery of the first spark may never be completely solved. The consequences of that spark are impossible to forget. The Hindenburg disaster did not single-handedly end airship travel, but it became the moment that shattered public confidence in the great passenger Zeppelins. The age of the airship had already been facing competition from a faster and increasingly practical technology, the airplane. After the disaster, the remaining German passenger airships were eventually withdrawn from service, and the dream of routine luxury travel by Zeppelin faded into history. The Hindenburg also became one of the most widely documented disasters of its time. Photographers captured the final moments. Newsreel cameras recorded the fire, and Herbert Morrison's emotional radio recording carried the event far beyond Lakehurst. For millions of people, The Hindenburg was no longer simply an aircraft. It became a symbol of how quickly technological progress could turn into tragedy. Today, the site of the disaster at Lakehurst is quiet. There is no enormous airship overhead, no crowds waiting for passengers to descend. Only a memorial marking the place where 36 people lost their lives, and where an entire vision of the future came crashing down. Today, the Hindenburg exists only in photographs, recordings, and the memories left behind by those who witnessed its final flight. But the story remains, not simply because an airship caught fire, but because, for a brief moment, the world watched the future change before its eyes. 34 seconds were enough to turn a symbol of progress into one of history's most unforgettable images. This is why we remember, and this is why history matters. If you want to hear more stories from the past, subscribe to the Archivist Speaks. Because history isn't just about what happened, it's about remembering why it mattered.